In the previous video, I showed you how to simplify these square roots by using the perfect square method, but the way that I actually learned in school was a prime factors method. So I'm going to show you that way too, so you can pick your favorite. So that way, when you use the prime factor method, you just start with whatever combination you can think of, what two factors multiply to 24. So they don't have to be perfect squares, just anything you can think of. So my first thought is maybe 12 and 2. So if I had square root of 12 times square root of 2, that would still equal square root of 24. So 2 is already prime, so I'm just going to drop the 2 down so it stays the same. 12 is not prime yet, so I'm going to keep splitting the 12. So the 12 I know can split into 4 and 3. So now I have all of these. So I don't know, if, for the ones that stay the same, if you want to draw just like a single arrow, you can, whatever works for you. So I'm going to keep bringing this square root of 2 down. The square root of 3 is now prime. Square root of 4 is not prime yet, so I'm going to split it up into square root of 2 times square root of 2. So in this method, you look for pairs of numbers that are the same. So now that I have all prime numbers, I'm like, I need to find pairs. So 2 and 2 go together. So I know square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which simplifies to a 2. So I know that this is going to just turn into a 2. And then because these two values are not the same, and they have no pairs anywhere, because you can only circle 2 in a pair, you just multiply these back together and get square root of 6. So that is one way you can do the prime factors method. I'll show you one more like that. So with 160, the first one I see does happen to be a perfect square, but I'm just going to still show the perfect square method. So I would say square root of 16 times square root of 10. Neither of these are prime numbers yet, so I'm going to split it up. So I've got square root of 5 times square root of 2. So now those are prime numbers. And 16, I could split into square root of 8 and square root of 2. So all of these are prime, but the 8 is not, so I'm going to keep going. So 8, I know, is square root of 4 times square root of 2. All of these just come down and stay the same. So this method does definitely take longer, but if it's what works for you, you can always use this method. So now, we're almost there. This 4 just needs to split into square root of 2 and square root of 2. And all the rest of these need to come down again. So clearly not the most efficient way on this problem. So now that I'm down to all prime numbers, I'm going to look for those pairs. So square root of 2 and square root of 2, those would make square root of 4, so they just turn into a 2. And then I see another set of 2's, so that turns into square root of 4, which is 2. And what I'm left with are these two do not have any pairs, so I'm just going to multiply them together and get square root of 10. So for the final answer, we're just going to multiply all those back together. So 2 times 2 is 4, and we're left with 4 square root of 10. So if you have troubles finding perfect squares, you can use this method and just get down to prime numbers, circle pairs, and then simplify in that method. So why don't you guys go and try the practice.